This episode of the MLB Guardcast is sponsored by Sadnap Studios. Are you in need of assistance when it comes to digital arts, logo creation, website design, brand building, or designing merch? Then look no further than Sadnap Studios. The team at Sadnap Studios wants to help and make your dreams into reality. Everything is original and organically created, nothing AI. You can follow them and check out some of their incredible work on Instagram at sadnap_studios_art drop. Thanks again to the folks at Sadnap Studios. Go Guards. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time for another episode of the MLB Guardcast, episode number 37, a special American League Championship Series edition. I am Mike Vorhies. With me, as always, statistician extraordinaire, producer, editor, meteorologist, Bryan Shaw. I've run out of adjectives. Bryan, how are you? First off.
I need a recovery day. Yesterday was a long day. You can tell by my voice a little bit. It's a little hoarse. I did a lot of yelling yesterday. I went to the game.
As well you should.
I was at game 5. It was incredible. I enjoyed downtown a little bit after game 5. And then I went over to a friend's house for his birthday to watch Ohio State and Oregon. And I was up pretty late into the night. So it was a long day yesterday. I need a recovery day.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a rot day in the couch.
But that's okay. The Browns are playing at 1 o'clock. You can zone out and take a nap because nobody's going to watch the Browns anyway. So, Bryan, we did it. The Guardians, if for those that missed it, our last episode, we did our playoff preview show with Jim Rosenhaus, a.k.a. Rosie, from the Cleveland Guardians. We got you ready for the Detroit series. And game 1 went off as well as probably better than any of us thought it would. We throw a 7-0 shutout. I just assumed we were going to sweep right through Detroit and breeze right into the playoffs. And man, oh man, I wish I never would have said it. Game 2, which I attended. I know you were there as well. Game 2, Monday in downtown Cleveland, was a phenomenal game until the 9th inning when Emmanuel Clase showed that he was human. And he gave up a 3-run home run to Kerry Carpenter, and the Detroit Tigers evened the series at 1. We then go back to Detroit for game 3, and Cleveland decided it didn't even want to participate in that game. I don't know what it was. Travel day. It's hard to tell, but we end up losing game 3 and go down 2-1, and I knew I hit the panic button. I was very nervous. I know you and I were
a lot
texting.
of Cleveland did. Based on what I saw on Twitter, a lot of people did. And I want to make a statement. We need to cut that stuff out. Like collectively, as a city,
as a whole,
yes. When it
Yes.
comes to Cleveland sports, I think we need to finally step away from the doom and gloom. I know it's like it's a way to hold off on disappointment, because if you expect disappointment, then you won't be disappointed. But I think it's time to get rid of that. I think it's time to shake that off.
I would agree 1,000%. Listen, the Guardians are in the playoffs almost every year. We know Cleveland sports have ripped our hearts out over the many, many years, the decades. We get it. It's very easy, and I'm very guilty of it. I went down that rabbit hole. I was like, well, season's over. Congratulations. Detroit's going to, move on.
Yeah. My wife did the same thing. She's
I was frustrated.
The last game they're going to play.
Yeah. So then game 4, which I'm going to go on record right now, I did not watch a single pitch of game 4.
Oh, that's why you didn't text me. I was wondering
because
why I didn't hear from you.
I was at the Cleveland Cavs preseason game. A friend of mine had got tickets. We were sitting very close to the floor. I decided to unplug from sports. I was not paying attention to the Guardians game until they showed the score on the scoreboard, and Jose hit the home run to tie the game, or we went up 1-0, and then it was back.
It was a very back and forth. It was a very back and
I
forth game.
tuned in. I tuned into
Yeah.
game 4 after the Cavs put it up on the big screen, and then watching David Fry magical 2-run home run, and then later on a suicide squeeze, aka safety squeeze, whatever you want to call it, scoring Brayan
I think
Rocchio.
we should just call it a squeeze play. Like that's what it
I
is.
think we should. They have
Just call
so
it a
many
squeeze
different
play.
adjectives.
But anyway, yeah. So I was supposed to go to the Cavs game as well, the Thursday preseason game. I was going to
Mhm.
sell my tickets, but they were selling for $5, so I just gave them to my friend and his little boy. Um, I have upper deck though. I have higher
Okay.
seats.
Yeah,
Um,
I've never sat so close in my life. Like I got to yell at Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and Darius Garland and Max Strus and Amani Bates, who weren't playing in the game, sitting in street clothes. But it was very fun to watch. Yes, the Cavs did lose the game, but
it's
I don't think it
preseason.
mattered.
Yeah.
I think everybody was more excited that the Guardians had won. They were bringing the game back to Cleveland, leaving the Cavs game, the entire downtown area when we were heading back to our car. It was electric. Everybody was excited, yelling, screaming, like it was phenomenal. Yes, it probably took us an hour and 20 minutes to leave to get back home because traffic and everyone was celebrating. But yes, the Guardians then get it tied up, come back to Cleveland. Brian, you were at the game. I'm going to let you unfold the recap a little bit. You were there. I watched it on television, but
Yeah.
I guarantee it being live was way better.
So I think we'll get into this a little bit more, but uh, game 4 as well. I personally have not liked the way the pitching staff had been managed. I thought that the starters were not being able to go long as I felt like they could, getting pulled a little bit early. And I really felt that in game 5.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Boyd getting yanked after the second inning, like, you're adding up how many pitchers they have, and you're like, well, it just doesn't kind of add up really. Like, who all is going to pitch here? Um, and to add to it, I had some really, really obnoxious Tiger fans behind me. They were these early 20 somethings, and they had placed bets. So at first they were like, oh, they bet a no-run first inning as part of their parlay. And so they're initially rooting for the Guardians and Boyd to get out of that inning. So, that's all unfolding. And I went into the game. I texted my buddy Zach, or I ran into him, and I said, they're getting to Skubal in the 4th. So I told him that. I was very confident in the Guardians in this game. Now, they didn't get to Skubal in the 4th. It got to him in the 5th. But
Close enough.
um, I think there was a sense, even though for the first few innings, before that big inning in the 5th, I was getting a sense of they are getting to him. It's slowly but surely. Like, you just need that one extra hit, just that one more hit, putting two on, getting his pitch counts up. And I was getting excited. I was like, this is gonna break, this is gonna bust out open here. This is gonna break through. And what I remember specifically from game 2 was the crowd was all over Scoople, and he was feeding off of it. And you saw the whole thing. It was on social media where he's yelling, shut the F up. And his mom texted him. So I was like, okay, well, now we know Cleveland Collective, we can chirp at him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And crowds chanting, Scooble, Scooble, as he's loading up the bases. He loads up the bases. Jose comes up. Jose chants are going. He hits Jose. Well, those Scooble
Yeah, that.
chants change from Scooble to a hole, and then
Well,
that gets to him even more. And then Lane comes up, and so then you're hearing Scooble, Scooble, and he crushes it. Now, here's the one part about this. I was in right field. The trajectory of the ball, I could not tell immediately it was a home run. The bases are loaded. At the very least, we're like, okay, we're scoring. It's going to go off the wall. Like, I'm watching the outfielders. I can not really see the ball. Crowd goes nuts. And we start going nuts. Okay, they scored at least 2, right? Then the fireworks go off. And then it's just anarchy.
so the funny part about where Lane Thomas's home run landed, that's where I was sitting. very close to on at game 2. So a little disappointed that it happened at game 5 instead of game 2. But listen, Lane Thomas, first pitch, he had been swinging first pitch the entire series. The fact that Skubal basically put a belt high fastball,
Yeah, left him a
and
hanger.
Lane was able to turn on it. And listening, I had the radio station on because I'm going to be honest, the folks at TBS and TNT and all of that, their announcers are not great. Stick to basketball, baseball, it's not it. So I had the TV muted, and I was listening to Rosie and Tom Hamilton, and there was a slight delay. I already knew about the home run before they called it on the radio. So listening to Rosie getting to call the grand slam, you didn't know. The ball was hit really high, and I mean, it barely got over the 19-foot wall. But the fact that you talk about Skubal hitting Jose, obviously that was not intentional. He was trying to jam him inside, and Jose did what any batter would do, took the pitch. And everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, how dare Skubal? He hit one of our best hitters." And to be honest, Jose wasn't our best hitter in that series.
Well, I mean,
However,
I don't think it was, whether it was intentional or not. You wanted to get into Skubal's head as a fan. Like,
oh,
you
and
want
you
to,
could tell that hit by pitch did. But
right? It
there were
rattled
two
him.
guys. Yeah, there were two guys I think that got to Skubal earlier, and that was Brayan Rocchio, who had an absolutely incredible series, and
Yeah,
Steven Kwan.
I think all of Cleveland. There was a game I attended in late August, and Rocchio was going through a skid. He had that period of time where he was kind of just booting easy plays, sailing throws, and wasn't hitting great. And there was a game where I don't think they charges an error, but he kind of lost us the game, and then immediately came up and had a 3-pitch strikeout, and the crowd was on him. They were booing him like crazy. Well, the Rocchio chants late in the game, and I recorded it, and then I quote tweeted myself and said, like, this is August to October. So to anybody that ever says that, like, we don't embrace our players, when players are playing great, when there is a reason to embrace them, we are going to embrace them, and we're going to acknowledge them playing incredibly well. Plus that amazing defensive jumps like 3 feet in the air and snags that ball. So love seeing that for Rocchio. I hope his confidence is sky high now, and I hope he rides this into being that shortstop that we wanted him to be since he started the beginning of the season. I mean,
Yeah,
because
he hit Skubal well, which was amazing, and just the bottom of the order, surprisingly, the bottom of the order, subtract John Kenzie Noel and Bo Naylor, Austin Hedges, like it happens. But Rocchio in that 9 spot, and then you had Kwan leading off. Kwan had probably one of his best games in a long time at game 5. He just was able to, it seemed as if he knew exactly what Skubal was throwing, where it was going to be, and he's just lacing singles. And I'm like, this is phenomenal.
Steven Kwan is 6'11"
Yeah,
in the
I mean
ALDS.
it's what, 545?
521. No,
I mean,
524. Excuse me.
that's a huge batting average. We'll take that all day
Yeah.
long.
I mean, even if
It's
he was like Lane is 6, no, Lane is 6 for 19.
I'll take it. I mean,
He's
we're gonna
316,
need it.
and we're like, that's incredible.
Yeah, Lane Thomas, obviously, we know, everyone knows that you had a man crush on Lane Thomas. You talked about it when the Guardians traded for him, that this would be a phenomenal mid-season acquisition. And obviously it started slow. He had a very rough month or so. I think he was pressing, family stress. I mean, being uprooted and being traded, that weighs on a player. When that calendar turned and we were into August and then into September, and you're like, wait a minute, this Lane Thomas guy's really good. He's hitting the ball well, playing great defense. And then lo and behold, the grand slam yesterday. I think that cemented his status as a phenomenal piece. And I'm happy to have him right in the middle of
Right.
that order, sandwiched between Jose and
And
Josh.
And if you
It just
remember, like
it's
we had talked about Randy Rosarena being a piece
mhm.
that we would have wanted. There was rumors of him in the offseason. I had started talking about Lane Thomas the previous season, but then the Guardians didn't make any moves. I just thought he would fit. And I was thrilled when we got him, and then he struggled and everybody was on him. Um, I have a Lane Thomas apology form up on my Twitter if anybody would like to fill that out. It was due before the ALDS, but for a small fee, you can still submit your apology form and repent. But
Yeah,
it
my
was
goodness.
I love this for him. I mean, talk about just two amazing home runs in back-to-back games from David Fry and Lane Thomas. And plus Lane had the game one home run too.
Right.
That
He did,
really
and
kind
in
of blew
that
that
five
game
run,
open.
yeah, the 5 run first inning, which was absolutely phenomenal. Now, Brian, we have to turn our sights to the Bronx Bombers, to the hated evil empire in New York, the New York Yankees, who made short work of the Kansas City Royals. I- This series is going to be pretty difficult. It's New
Yeah.
York,
Yeah.
right? Monday and Tuesday are games 1 and 2. I thought you had a beautiful piece you texted me before we decided to record. Go ahead and jump into that. We know Tanner
Yeah.
Bybee will be game 1 against Garrett Cole.
No,
That's
Alex Cobb will be game one Monday.
Alex Cobb is game 1
Yeah. So
versus Garrett Cole.
we've got the rotation pretty much set up. Everybody's going to be on normal rest. It sets up nicely. The only day it looks like that we're going to have to figure out a new pitcher that hasn't pitched in the playoffs yet is Friday. So we have Cobb Monday on normal rest because he pitched Wednesday. Then it's Bybee game two Tuesday, Boyd Thursday, normal rest. Friday is where you have to decide, um, do you go Gavin Lively? Do you start Lively, come in Gavin afterwards? So one of those guys are going to have to start. I don't think you can go full bullpen game, and I'll explain why here in a moment. And then it's repeats again. Cobb, Bybee, Boyd in that three. The only difference there is Bybee will have an extra day rest that if it goes to game six. So he'll have an extra day's rest. Everybody else would be on normal rest in that set. So it's
Okay.
Cobb, Bybee, Boyd, somebody else, Cobb, Bybee, Boyd in that
So I
order.
think we kind of knew this was coming in a 5 game series. You really only needed 3 starters, and the Guardians proved that. Obviously, in a 7 game series, you're gonna have to add an arm, but that means if you add an arm, is it Gavin Williams or is it Ben Lively, who didn't even make the
Yeah,
ALDS roster? I mean, Gavin's already on the postseason roster. He didn't pitch at all in the Detroit series, which I am completely befuddled that he didn't. I assumed after they pulled Boyd after 2 innings, which was a
right,
huge shock in game 5,
right,
that Gavin would have come on for 2 innings and
right.
then you would have set up your bullpen. That wasn't the case. So it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see, do they couldn't, I don't see them dropping a bullpen arm to bring in Lively or Pedro Vila. Like I don't see that, because who would be the guy that gets sent down? Like I like our bullpen. I like Cade Smith has been phenomenal. Tim Herron had one bad outing in the series with Detroit. Eric Sabrowski's come out of nowhere. I had no idea who this guy was, and he's been really good. Andrew Walters, same thing, really good. Can we give a tip of the hat to Eli Morgan? I don't think
yeah.
anybody expected Eli Morgan to pitch
That
in
was a
the seventh
gutsy.
inning
That was
yesterday.
a very gutsy performance by him. You're
I
you're
will
right.
tip my hat.
Absolutely. Give him his flowers.
But then Emmanuel Clase 2 innings. I'm going to be honest here. We can't.
No,
I don't think we can do this against the
no,
Yankees.
absolutely right. I didn't like it in game four when he had to go 5 outs, and I hated it even more in game six. Now it worked. It worked, and the way Vogt was doing using the bullpen worked this time.
Yeah,
Like you said, I don't think you can keep doing that. You're gonna tax these
no.
guys.
The
You can't
bullpen will
keep asking
start to
Class A to
show.
pitch 2 innings.
Gaddis yesterday. You could tell Gaddis yesterday didn't have his best stuff, and he had pitched in every game, 1 through 5. He pitched in every game. These pitchers need rest. Now, I am not going to criticize Stephen Vogt. Not going to do it. He made the decision. He rode with it. It didn't backfire. Twitter blew up. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, what's he doing? He's pulling Boyd after 2. What in the world? Now you're going to Cade Smith. Is Cade going to throw? Somebody's going to have to throw multiple innings. You're like, oh, the more hitters see a reliever, the worse it is for
Well,
us
and yes,
because,
and to that point, so that's why everybody was kind of panicking. Plus, Boyd was just doing fine, and
yeah,
Detroit did start to creep back. So if it had imploded, if Clase had given up another home run because he had to get through 6 outs, everybody would have been questioning the decision. Thankfully, the guys rose to the occasion. Now, to answer your question of who, I do think that if they swap anybody, I think it would be Andrew Walters because he's still pretty young. I think you swap Walters for Lively, and you get a double
okay,
starter in there. That's
that's
my
fair.
guess.
Yeah, because you don't want to take away Sabrowski or Heron because those are your lefties. If I'm thinking correctly, though, the Yankees don't have a ton of left-handed batters. I know Aaron Judge is going to be huge in
Uh,
this
well,
series.
we also actually there was one more player that was on the roster that didn't pitch. One more
And
pitcher,
who was
Cantillo,
that?
didn't pitch,
Yeah, he
and
did.
he
He pitched in one game.
he did.
Yeah, we used Cantillo in a relief role, I believe, in game 3 when we were losing.
Oh, okay, maybe
I
I
think
must have missed that.
Cantillo came on and threw like an inning late in a game.
Gotcha.
That's fine.
Um,
We keep him because I would stick with Cantillo over Walters. I know people are going to be like, "What?" Hear me out. Cantillo had a phenomenal second half. He was pitching extremely well, and I
yeah.
would leave him in.
Well, so
That's just me, though.
but then even more so, so then you could do Friday. Like you could go 3 starters
You
and
could,
have each go 2 innings. You can
right?
go Lively, Gavin, Cantillo, and do something like that for Friday,
And
or
bullpen.
and then you still have your long relievers. You still have that opportunity. But I think to continue with the bullpen discussion, Vote's going to have to give a longer leash to the starters. I think you're going to have to let these guys at least try to go into the fifth. Boyd was only at 30 something pitches.
He was
Bybee
almost at, I think 40 was,
Bybee was at 60 something when he got pulled. And I didn't like that decision because he got pulled after the solo home run. And I know you said you weren't watching that game, but to me, what happened there was okay, well, if you were going to pull him after the solo home run, you shouldn't have put him in to begin with. If he
right.
gives up a solo shot, the bases are clear. He's only at 60 pitches. Give him an opportunity. What if he gets 2 more outs for you? If you then if after the
Yeah.
solo shot he seems rattled and he puts one on, then yank him. But I know you said like I don't want to criticize Vote because it worked, and you're right, it worked, but it just it left some uneasiness, and I don't think he's going to be able to manage that way against the Yankees. And same thing with game, I forget which one it was, game 2 or game 3. I think it was game 3 where you got strangely pinch hit heavy early in the game. I'm hoping he's
That
learning
would
from those
be
things.
that would be game 3 when he pinch hit John Kenzie Noel in the second inning.
Yeah. Um, y- you know, I know it's the playoffs, but like they had talked about, like, oh yeah, well, a lot of the regular season we were managing like the playoffs, like these games were playoffs, so we're not surprised. But then come ALDS, you're making a lot of different decisions than you normally would. Um, I hope he saw, I hope he saw like how those things played out, and even though they worked, may reconsider some of that. I don't think you can get that cute. Like, let's not
Mm-mm.
get cute here. Stick with your guys. If you're starting a guy for a reason, and honestly, the Yankee series should be different in that aspect. They have legitimate starters. The Tigers only
Yeah.
had Scooble, and then they're pitching chaos the rest of the way. So they were able
Mm-hmm.
to manipulate you. But somebody had said that AJ Hinch was basically he was baiting Stephen Vogt into making moves, and Stephen Vogt was taking the bait every time in the early part of that series when it comes to the batting order. So hopefully that's not the case. Uh, but I do think the other thing that I have to consider, because it's Major League Baseball, is um, the NLCS is New York versus LA, and
Yeah,
we have a New York team, and an LA team, and then Cleveland. We have definitely our backs against the ropes even before this series starts, not just because of
exactly.
payroll, not because of um, announcers or anything like that. It's purely because MLB is going to love a Subway Series. MLB is going to love their two biggest markets going up against each other if it ends up being Yankees Dodgers.
Yeah,
So,
you think about it, it looks like Garrett Cole will pitch game one for the Yankees. They have Lewis Gill. They have Carlos Rodon, who we know he pitches against the Guardians extremely well. Clark Schmidt, and I got to be missing somebody. Maybe that's it.
yeah, I mean,
So they only have three starters. That doesn't make a ton of sense, but hey, it's
well,
okay.
I mean, they may have to start somebody else too,
Yeah,
like we
Garrett
do.
Cole pitched game four for the Yankees and got the win. Tommy Canley picked up the win in game three. Let's see. That one was started by Schmidt. He only went 4 2/3. And then let's see, what's the other one? They lost game two. The Yankees did. Their starting pitcher that game was Carlos Rodon, who only went 3 2/3, gave up 4 runs. So maybe the Yankees will make some roster moves. They may add a pitcher or two. Who knows? The Guardians may do the same. I
Um,
believe it
did,
has to be announced today.
is Nestor Cortez, wasn't he injured,
Injured.
or
He is
is he still
injured. He
injured?
is on. Yeah, he is.
Okay.
He will not pitch in the postseason.
Okay.
So no nasty nectar. We're good there. I don't want Nestor Cortez. That
Yeah,
guy just he
he's
rubs me the
annoying.
wrong way when we pitch. But
But anyway,
Ryan, obviously, game one in New York, game two in New York. So again, with the ALDS, there were games off in between.
mhm.
Now we don't have that. Managing is going to be a little bit different. Wednesday's a travel day. Then you
And
have
then we have
game three
three
and game
straight in
four.
Cleveland.
Yeah, you have 3, 4, and 5 in Cleveland.
All 3 days in a row, Thursday, Friday,
Yeah,
Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 in
I'm
a row
going
in
to Thursday's
Cleveland.
game.
Nice. So that's a potential clincher, correct? If they sweep
No, Friday would be the clincher.
Friday. So
Yeah,
you're
I'm
going to
going to
game
game
three.
3.
Okay.
Friday would be the clincher. That's the spot where we have to pick somebody for the rotation. Um, I don't I think this is going to go 6 or 7. I'm not going to say
I
which way. I think it's going to go
nope.
6 or 7. It's going to be a grind.
I have said 7. As soon as we beat Detroit, I said this we're in for a 7-game series, folks. Our magic number is 8 games.
8
That's
games.
it. We need to win 8 games, folks,
Well,
and we're World Series champions.
let's ride this
However,
high.
exactly. Let's keep going. Monday, tune in. I think the game is at 7:37, some weird time. I don't understand this stuff. Yeah, we got 108 and we got 7:08 and we got 7:37. Like, just call it 7 o'clock. Call it a day.
So
Like,
the
what
only
are we
thing
doing
I'm
here?
hoping, and I don't know if you've seen any of this, you were talking about the TBS guys. Please,
They're
please, please
trash.
tell me that Bob Costas is not calling this game.
He might.
Ugh,
He
because
might.
did you
He
hear
might.
him against Kansas City and the
Did he
Yankees?
talk about? Did he talked about euthanizing Mike Stanton on air?
Oh, oh, I didn't hear
He
that.
talked to yeah, he talked about euthanizing Mike Stanton or Giancarlo Stanton because he can't play the field. He doesn't run well, and you should euthanize him like you would the family dog. He said that on air mid broadcast,
Well,
and
he
it put
also,
Yankee fans in a tizzy.
yeah, but he also couldn't continue. He couldn't hold in his Yankee fandom. Like anytime the Royals did anything good, he sounded like his family dog got put down. I mean,
Yeah,
you
the
have
problem
Bobby
is
Witt, you have Bobby Witt making incredible plays, and Bob Costas. Well, it's another double play for the Royals. Ugh.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you have broadcasters that call these games, they've got to be like neutral, like Switzerland, man. You've got to be able to call. Yes, you can be a fan of a certain team, but when you're calling that game, you cannot let your fandom get in the way of that game. You just can't. And we've heard it about Bob Costas. We know how much he loves New York. And I'm sure Bob Costas wants a Mets Yankees World Series. But guess what? The Yankees have to come through Cleveland. Nothing is guaranteed. I don't even know if the Mets can beat the Dodgers. We'll see. Okay? That's why they play the games. They're not played on paper, they're played on the field. All I know is Monday, 7:37, whatever the stupid start time is. I'll be tuning in. I know you'll be tuning in. All of America should be tuning in. The Browns aren't giving us anything to cheer for. Basketball season hasn't started yet, and your Guardians are in the American League Championship Series. Let us root for our team, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, let's pack that stadium. Let's do exactly what we just did for the Detroit series. Let's pack the stadium, give out those stupid red towels.
Oh, I have a whole bunch.
Wave them. As do I. Wave them religiously all game long. Annoy all of the Yankee fans, because guess what, folks? There's going to be plenty of Yankees fans. They're coming. They travel. We have a lot that live in Ohio that root for the Yankees. It's the same people that root for Pittsburgh. I never understand it. Probably the same people that root for the Cowboys because it's America's
and the Lakers and yeah.
Right, exactly. Hey, guess what? Let's show them what Cleveland's all about. Brian, I know you're excited as well. I'm going to shut up because I'm getting ready to run through a wall. That's how amped I am, and it's Sunday at 11:50 in the morning. So I need to hold it down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a great series. Like I said, I think it's going 6 or 7. I think it's going to be a grind. If they go down 2-1, let's not jump off the 480 bridge like we did against the Tigers.
Go down 1-0. If the Yankees win game 1, don't panic.
Yeah, I don't want to see people
if
tweeting it's
can
over.
Get one in New York. We have to get one in New York to be able to clinch at home. Would I love taking 2 in New York? Absolutely. Do I think 1-1 is more realistic? Yes.
Yeah.
Garrett Cole is a little bit better than Tarek Skubal, in my opinion. So,
well, I hope the good vibes keep going. I hope these guys keep hitting. I hope their confidence is sky high. I hope we start to see a couple of guys that are scuffling get more opportunity. I want to see more Will Brennan in this series. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of Angel Martinez in this series. I think John Kenzie, he had a very tough end of the season, and he's had a tough ALDS without a hit. Yeah. So, let's swap some guys out of there, and then Josh Naylor's due for a big game. It would be really nice to see it do it against the Yankees.
I want to see him rock the cradle if he hits one out off of Garrett Cole. I also want to see Andres Gimenez. He had a very good at bat in game 5 where he laced the ball to right center and got a double. That's what we need from him. Yeah. I think he's been pressing. He's trying to launch the ball into the bleachers. Just get hits, guys. The guys that will be able to hit home runs will be able to hit home runs. David Fry will be key. I want to see Jose Ramirez do well. But I think Josh Naylor, I'm going to call it now, Josh Naylor needs to step up in the ALCS and lead this team. I'm just saying.
I hope he does.
I'm looking for.
As I said for the ALDS, the stars got to shine. And not only did the stars mostly shine, we saw guys like David Fry, Lane Thomas, we'll call them your second tier stars of the Guardians. They stepped up in the biggest way possible. Mm-hmm. And it was incredible to see.
Brayan Rocchio's creeped into that second tier, folks.
He's put himself in hero status. Series. Yeah. I mean, if you keep having games like that, if you keep playing clean defense and you make plays, these Gold Glove caliber plays, fans are going to love you. Somebody said he dyed his hair blonde and he turned into Francisco Lindor.
I I say nothing because Francisco Lindor and the Mets are in the playoffs as well, and he's playing out of his mind right now. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would like to see the Mets make it to the World Series. I know that's a little blasphemous of me to say, but I would like to see the Mets. I don't want the Dodgers. I really, really don't. The Cleveland Mets World Series has a nice ring to it. We'll see, but this is why they play the games. Brian, a pleasure as always. Where can
Yep.
they find you and us?
The Lane Thomas apology form is up at WXSHAW at Weather Shaw on Twitter. On Facebook, we are MLB Guardcast. On Twitter, we're Guardcast MLB. If you are listening on Spotify, you can watch us on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can listen on Spotify. Mikey, how about yourself?
Well, I am currently suspended on Facebook for 30 days because apparently I do high school football on Friday nights for those that didn't know. I was simply sharing photos that I personally took from the football game and shared them to Facebook, only to have Facebook remove my post and suspend my account for 30 days because they said I was trying to pad my likes and shares stats. So I have requested a review. We'll see what happens. You can find me on Twitter at Mike Vorhies. I am also on Facebook, same name, at Mike Vorhies. We'll see. Maybe Facebook made a mistake, which I think they did, but who knows? I don't think I did anything wrong, but they love
Yeah,
to play
that's
games.
bizarre.
Social media is so much fun. Anyway, go Guards. Let's enjoy it, guys. You'll hear from us. Win or lose at the end of this series, we will recap either an amazing series and a trip to the World Series, or we'll be talking about next year. That's where it's at. Go Guards.
Good Guards. Talk to you soon.